I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper and spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect. Perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode. Perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode, perfect mode. Everything, anything, plenty things, perfect mode.
Perfect.
Welcome to Perfect Mode. Welcome to Perfect Mode. Welcome to Perfect Mode. First off, we want to start by telling y'all that we love y'all. We're grateful for the opportunity to be anywhere, sharing our thoughts, the way that we see life, hopefully in helping you realize that you are perfect. And the reason why I can say that unapologetically is because I know that you are number one of one. Numero uno, you cannot be replicated, duplicated. And the only reason you would think that you're not perfect is if you're looking at this person next to you and saying, I'm not them. But guess what? You are you, and that's all you need. And of course, it's yours truly, Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. And I have my boy JClay, spiritual rapper and teacher. And we're about to jump on and talk about maintaining your vibration in challenging environments. Maintaining your vibration in challenging environments. What's up, Jay?
Maintaining it. What's up? Happy Sunday to all my people in perfect land, doing perfect things, recognizing your perfection and seeing the perfection of where you are, your state of being right now, and just how it serves you. I'm looking forward to all of this. First off, I do want to make a shout out to our first patron. Shout out to Jeff.
What up, Jeff?
He joined our Patreon, which the link is in the description somewhere in there. You can click on that. So I welcome you to join that as well. And in addition to that, though, the Monday reset. That's what we call it. Every Monday we like to do the fast. We like to fast or 24 hours from when you last ate today. The purpose, everybody has their own purpose for doing it. Mine is spiritual, just relying on source energy, relying on God more than I rely on food. But whatever your intention is good. It's good for a multitude of reasons. I highly suggest you do it. We also put something in the description, a link where we have like this little community that it tracks when you last ate. We can motivate each other, all of that. So yeah.
So I want to funny you said the reason why you do it, and it's a number of reasons why I do it as well. But my kid asked me this week on Wednesday. He was like, Dad, how do you make your mind strong? And funny enough, I was able to just kind of talk about the fast to him. So it was a cool thing. And just having kids is his own thing. And one other thing I want to shout out Jeff one more time. He came in last week and made a comment about Jalen Brunson and a foul or not a foul that happened in a game. And he made reference to me and saying that's how it reminded him of that. And I told him how me and my family laughed about it. And he said, I didn't even think that it would have been a funny thing. But the reality of it is we're a basketball family. So you making the reference, I just want to shout you out. It was funny to us, and I appreciate it because it made me look at it from that standpoint as well. But shouts out to Jeff again, man.
Yeah, man. So join us too on that water fast, water only. You can do supplements if you want to, but just try to stick to the water. No coffee, none of that. Just we want the clear mindedness so you can feel its effects. But let's jump into this. Maintaining your vibration.
So I'm gonna tell you off top, bro. Like, I didn't look at the topic until I was actually in the middle of the intro, like in the middle of it. And it hit me in my heart, like in my soul, bro. Like, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. So anybody that's a parent, I know you have to feel this to your core because, when I was a kid with my mom or with my granny or, my aunties or somebody, they would say, man, you getting on my last nerve. You're getting on my last nerve. And the thing that comes to my mind is I can only imagine prior to me doing whatever I was doing, they were in some type of state of peace, and I was doing something to agitate the peaceful environment that they have, I guess, projected for themselves. But nonetheless, today, this morning, my kids were going at it with each other, right?
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was just like, bro, like, dude, we got to argue about every single thing. And the thing is, I didn't even want to feel like, bro, like I didn't even want to have that feeling in me. And so when I got to it, all I was thinking about the entire time was, how do I diffuse them at the same time maintain the vibration that I want to have? Because again, as a parent, when you're trying to diffuse these things, it's challenging. But that's the reason why it hit me in my heart, bro, because that's where I literally was at this morning. But shouts out, man. What up, bro?
So this topic actually came from Our West. I put a comment on here on like one of our clips, and had asked, like, how do you maintain that vibration when you're not around like-minded people, when everybody's different and they have their own rules of life, but you know what you want from your life, but you can't necessarily escape being around certain people. And I'm paraphrasing the comment, but I was like, that's a great topic. Why not speak about it on here? Because I feel like that's the basis of life. Like, whatever life we want, it's about us maintaining that frequency that we say we want at all times, and then getting to experience that, because we see the contrast of what we don't want. So I'm definitely excited to talk about this.
So I'll tell you, going into, because in your breakdown, literally, again, it's my situation, because I cannot not be around my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to be here, and I have to figure out some way that we can all coexist in a way that I personally feel is a peaceful way. See, the thing is, they may not have felt that they were not being peaceful. They may not describe it. It could just be brothers being brothers, right? But from my standpoint and my wife's standpoint, like, it's a bunch of chaos going on. And then again, not wanting to kill the competitiveness and the, figuring out how to work it out themselves and all these other little things that come along with it, without inserting yourself in such a way that's disrupting the way that you feel at the moment, is definitely a challenging thing. But I would tell, you said it was Our Way West?
Yeah, Our Wow West.
Our Wow West, I'm sorry, because I didn't see the name, but Our Wow West. So I would tell you, the first thing that I did this morning, though, while this was going on, was I realized that I cannot raise my voice. That was just one of the things that I knew that I could not do.
But you said you couldn't raise your what?
My voice. Yeah. I realized that I talk loud just in general. Like, this, just even now, this will be considered raising my voice. But this is how I always talk. But I knew that my traditional way of communicating could not have been a thing. And the reason why I determined that was because what they were doing in the room was raising their voice to each other. So I started to think of ways that I could communicate with them and also teach them at the same time. And so, to answer your question partially, one of the things that I feel like you have to do is you have to approach the situation in the way that you want it to look, right? Regardless if people are going to be responsive in the way that you want them to respond. Have you ever went to somebody that's yelling and just whispered?
All the time.
Like, and when you do that, it automatically changes the level that they're talking at off top, because now I don't know how they feel. I just assume that you feel crazy yelling at somebody that's whispering. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, that's something I love to do. Often I love doing the opposite of what's expected, just because it it brings people into just a new mindset, like just to see things from a different perspective. And I love seeing things from a different perspective. And within that, so within what you were saying, it's funny to realize that like everything is happening for you, but based on like the blueprint you set. So that can sound very arrogant, like I got control over everybody in my life. Not necessarily everybody, but in relation to how you perceive it. So it's like even you, like me and you are real cool, but I only know you as I perceive you to be. You know what I mean? Like you might have this other side that I have not considered. And that doesn't make anything wrong or bad, but we treat each other based on the blueprint we set for ourselves on how to treat each other. And even if something is out of line with that, the only way that dynamic will change is if we respond to that in a negative way.
Yeah. So number one, that should just that example that you're speaking about should just show you how amazing that we are. That's just the capacity that we have to be able to look at every person in our life and have a blueprint of how we feel like the relationship should go should just show you how cold that you actually are. Like that's an amazing, like that's cold. And I'm talking about that goes both ways. You setting the expectation or the blueprint for me and how I look to you, but also me setting a blueprint of how I want you to be responsive to me in all things that I do. And so when I go back to the example of my kids and me talking about how I approach the situation, the other thing that I always do is I always come back and look at myself, right? So just to kind of give you an example, whenever me and my wife at this point now, we try not to argue at all. It's just kind of, it doesn't, we can see that there's more craziness than not if we decide to argue, right? But even when you don't argue, there's still disagreements that happen, and they can happen in the funniest ways. So even ways that you don't want people to receive it in that way, right? So one of the big things for me is I'm not going to argue it out, fam. I'm just going to stop talking. It's just how I go, right? So when my kids are arguing this morning, my oldest 12 years old, and then I have a 5-year-old. My oldest 12-year-old, he comes and he approaches the situation like me. Yeah, Dad, I don't know what's going on with him. So now in my mind, I understand the frustration from my little kid, which I can understand the frustration from my wife. So again, I'm saying that I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at how he's responding, and I now understand that he's not making the situation any better because he's kind of aloof from it, and Brody does not want that to happen. He still wants to maintain. So again, I challenge myself, how can I communicate in a way that's welcoming to all sides? Because I'm building a dynamic. Now again, you just talked about the blueprint that you set for the people that are around you, or the people that you are directly in relationship with, to have what you deem yourself to be a peaceful situation. And so again, while I look at myself first, and then I start to, I guess, plan backwards to kind of reverse what I've already said, because I can look and see that the situation, and I know you might not want to think that these people around me are acting this way because I've set this up in such a way. That's what it is. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So one thing I like to do is, if I find myself in a situation that seems like one I don't want to be in, or seems like this is weird, this shouldn't happen. Like I'm a peaceful person. I'm this, I'm that. Like, why am I experiencing this? I immediately default to, okay, this is happening for me for a reason. So it's like, okay, this is to benefit me. So now I'm looking for that benefit. Like, seeking you shall find. Whatever you look for, whatever intention you set, you're going to meet that intention. It might not look like in the way that you thought it would, but you will meet that intention. So I'll start looking for, okay, what's the benefit here? Why is this happening? What am I here to learn? And every time there has been some kind of lesson, something that was like, I see that. Okay, I don't necessarily have to do this. And just to give like some loose examples, I've seen where people have said some seemingly foul things to me. Sometimes it's on accident, you know, sometimes it was on purpose to get a rise.
Yeah.
And how do I say this? There's been times before where I've met them, you know, where I perceived that they were at, and you know, led to conflict. There were times where I showed that it was like that was foul, but then I chose I guess the way I want it to be. But there are times like now, it's like, that could be considered foul, but it doesn't matter. And when I take on that approach, I instantly see people change. Like it's almost like, dang, I just did something foul, and they didn't even react to it at all in the way that I thought that they should. Let me come a different way. Let me apologize or let me do something.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it happens every time when I take that response as if it just doesn't matter, which it doesn't matter. But it's our egos that gets in the way of saying things got to look this way. You got to act this way because you're in my vicinity. You got to do this, and it doesn't matter. Like just do you.
But and I also go to, you know, the point that we made on previous shows. You ask yourself, what is it that you want, right? And again, if I'm saying, and it's not, like you said, it's not about controlling the circumstances, it's about controlling you. And so, like when you say, I want to be peaceful, using myself as the example and the example that I've been given this morning. So now I have options. I have an option. I have an option to not be peaceful or to be peaceful. And I've said that I want to be peaceful. So now this is where the work or the process or the learning process comes into play. I might not have known how to do that, but now I've given myself an opportunity to figure it out. So that way, in like situations, or no matter what the situation, I'm always able to identify it. So again, that's why I said I go back and I look at myself and said, okay, not trying to control them. What did I do to create this situation, and how can I make it what I want it to be? And so I think that's where when you say, what do I have to gain from this? I think that learning experience is what it is. And then again, once you master that, which we have the opportunity to master everything, because I had an option today just to go in and just talk like I talk right now and it not change anything. I never get to what I was trying to get to because I never gave it any opportunity, or I didn't see that there was the opportunity there. Go ahead, Jay.
So yeah, you brought up the word control, and I think that's one of the pitfalls of just not being in the state that you want, is, you know, trying to control everything, trying to control the environment, the situation, the circumstances. And it's been said many times by many people, like you can't control anything except your own emotions. And sometimes for some people that's hard to control too. Like it does take practice. But one of the things that I like to default to is you can control your awareness of it. So like, let's say you don't react or respond in the way that you want to respond. Just be aware that you are like it's a process. When you start making these changes, you're gonna say, dang, I'm making the same mistake right now. I see myself making the same mistake, but I don't want to stop it because this person deserves to hear this. This needs to happen. And that's cool. That's still progress, because before that, you wouldn't have had that awareness of it. You just would have did it automatically and wondered, you know, why am I always in fights? Why am I being so heated? Why is this always conflict? But just take that little step of awareness, and it can take you far.
So again, even going back to my example, the first thing that I said I had to do was look at me.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to be aware. Number one, why am I feeling the way that I feel? And that's something that you talk about all the time. Like, why is it that I'm feeling this way? But I think that the reason why you're asking these questions, or the reason why I'm looking at myself, is because I'm trying to be fully aware of where I am right now, or why I am the way that I am right now. And I think that, you know, looking at yourself that way is a good way to find, you know, awareness. Again, I knew that my kids arguing agitated me for some reason. But if I never take the opportunity to ask myself why, then the only thing that I get to be in all those circumstances are reactionary. And you don't want to, like, being reactionary is not where I want to be. So because that's the case, then I have to give myself an opportunity to realize what's really going on with me, not with them, because they can continue to do that all they want to. But if I don't identify what it is that I've said in my life in order for that to go on, it never changes. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I'm sure like it gave them an unconscious opportunity to see a new way to resolve things by seeing the approach that you took. Because who knows? I mean, I don't know if you've ever taken an argumentative approach around them before, but it possibly could have stemmed from that, or maybe not. It could have just stemmed from just being in certain environments. But the important thing, like the good out of this situation, is they saw the way to be. You know what I mean? And I know, me knowing you, I know you want to show your kids like a better way to just be throughout life. All the things that we're saying on Perfect Mode. And so, like, if we can remember that sometimes so-called negative situations happen just to be the example of the right way, like that eases a lot too. At least with me, like that's a positive spin I like to put on certain situations. Like, why is this happening? Oh, so I can show them, hey, you can be like this, even though they don't really matter. All that matters is you from your perspective, but it still helps with you shaping your environment in a sense.
No, I 100% agree with that. Like, that's why sayings like take the good with the bad are a thing, because um there's always a learning example from it. But not only that, I think that it generally catapults you. That's just my personal opinion, but just so that way I don't get too far away from maintaining my vibration. Like, I think that, again, I just want to point to, we're talking about being aware of the thing that's changing, that potentially could change your vibration. But I think recognizing what your vibration is highly important. Like, what does that really even mean to you? Like, what type of vibration are you trying to be on? What is it that you're trying to emit from yourself, so that way you can shape your environment? Like, and again, just saying that I'm peaceful, I know that I use that as an example, but I think it's even much more deeper than that. Like, what type of vibration are you trying to be on, and identifying that is important. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and it's two ways to look at this too. So on one way, like your vibe, your frequency, I like to believe that the level of your frequency are the things you do frequently. So like the thoughts you think, the words you say, like the frequency with which you do those things, it kind of sets your frequency. But the other way is like you have this core inner self that's just you, period. Like it's the you when you don't perceive any problems, when all is well, when you believe that everything is going your way, when you just know that I don't even have to worry about anything because all is well. I'm going in the right direction. Like that core vibration is you. And it as many times as you, as much as you can practice being that, especially when the circumstances don't dictate that, like it's easier to always have that confidence. Like, okay, it looks like I'm falling off a cliff, but I'm all right. I'm headed in the right direction. And if you have that confidence, you will be. It's like, oh, that wasn't a cliff. It was just an illusion or something.
So I got a question for you real quick.
Yeah.
Would you say that when you have realized what your core is, and you recognize the things that you are doing all the time or where you want to be, and then someone comes along and their vibrational being does not mesh well with yours, you being upset with that is taking you out of your vibration?
Right. So you saying what I say, like being upset is taking me out of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. Like, because it's no reason to be upset. I mean, we're all kids, you know what I mean? Like, adults are just tall kids, and we somehow convinced ourselves to take ourselves seriously. Like, I don't know if you can remember some of the conversations you had as a kid, but you probably see it as a parent. Like, kids are all over the place, but they don't. No one really judges the other kid for liking something different. They just like, oh, okay, and they keep talking about what they want to talk about.
And yeah, no, I see it all the time, especially with the kids. And I think the reason why I asked that, or I wanted to bring that up, is because I also see, for people that are actually having the vibration conversation, I always talk about doing away with people that don't meet their vibe.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to point that out, that you're changing your vibe by even thinking or having those type of emotions toward anybody not meeting your vibe. Like, I think that we should be welcoming everybody's vibration, regardless if it meets ours or not. The people that are really vibing, in a sense. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So yeah, I call that the like-minded trap. You know, like, people like, I want to be around like-minded people, all like-minded people. But if you always around like-minded people, like, there is no, I don't know, that's just boring to me. Like, just from my core vibration, to me, that's boring. Because you don't get to flex anything. And I'll give a good basketball example, right? So a lot of top basketball players, they talk about the repetition they have to have in order to get good and things. So, like, sometimes if I'm playing basketball, pick up basketball, and we start blowing out the other team, I'm kind of abandoning everything I normally do, because it becomes boring. And I know that's crazy. Like, I want to win. I don't want to blow out. Like, if I blow out and I'm just doing anything, it's just like, yeah, that's a good day. But normally, like, it allows them time to catch back up. So it's like, okay, now it's real game time. This is, let's see what we're made out of. And I say that to say, like, that level of just so ease and the same repetition, or even like bowling is a game of, like, you got to keep doing the same thing. I can only maintain that for like maybe 1 or 2 games where I just concentrate to maintain the same thing. After that, if it's no competition or something, or people not into it, I'm just throwing it down the lane. Like, it's so I say that to say, being around like-minded people is like that to me. Like, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna just do something different or throw a monkey wrench in there just to kind of change things up.
So, okay, so I'm gonna tell you. So my mind went a bunch of different places when you were saying that, and I thought about the term of somebody being in the zone. So, like, you ever seen somebody like in a basketball game? And I use basketball because I watch basketball and I'm all immersed in basketball all the time. But you've seen sometimes when people get into a basketball game and somebody would say that they lost their mind because they won't miss, like, everything is just going in. But if you ever look at those people, now imagine in this basketball game, this person is like hitting everything. They making all the right passes. They getting all the steals. They 100% locked in. But nobody else around them is in that same state. Now, everybody's in awe by this person that's locked in. They're vibing. They're in their zone. And it's not anything that anybody could do. Even when that person is not in the zone and their team is not playing up to par, they're upset. But even in these moments where these people got into the zone and their team wasn't as locked in as them, they don't even see them. And when you're talking about bowling, or when I think about even our topic and the vibration and the challenging environment, I think that when you're truly vibing, there is no environment at all. Yeah. Like, the environment doesn't matter. You're so at peace and in your world that there's not anything that could go wrong. And that's kind of how I see it. And I know that we're describing a challenging environment, but I think that when you're really vibing, there's no challenge to the environment at all anyway, because you don't even see none of that stuff. But go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Shout out to Loretta. Loretta said, yes, being around others who may not be like-minded presents opportunities for growth and also allows us to have impact. Yeah. And to what both of you all are saying, like, we get to evolve and change our thought patterns. Like we get to see like, oh, you can actually live like that. You can actually do that. Like, what? I had no idea. I didn't even think that was possible. And every time like we find out a new thing that's possible, it's like our whole world reshifts and reorganizes, and you go back to the past, which we shouldn't do, but you go back and re-look at things through the eyes of this new belief. Like, oh, I could have did this. I could be doing this right now. Like, and it's amazing how allowing ourselves to be around people that might not even agree with our lifestyle. Like it's so much that we can learn from being around those people as well.
Bro. Yeah. So again, and I'm gonna go back to the being in the zone situation, right? When this person is in the zone and they just going off, whether you're vibing or not, their vibe don't change. But the thing is, if you start vibing with them, their vibe goes up. Like it but not only that, your vibe goes up. Like it's kind of like it's all working together. And I think that's where when you can see the negative, the negative is apparent. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that I can be vibing 100% if I'm looking at the shortcoming that I feel like somebody might possess. But if I'm 100% vibing, none of their shortcomings, they can only serve to be uplifters to me, because I'm only picking out what matters at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of how, that's how I frame it. That's how I see it. But go ahead, Jay.
No, I love that for two reasons. Okay, one, like when you said when you're vibing or somebody's vibing, like it, and others join in that, it just raises it. Like I remember hearing an example, the book Richest Man in Babylon. He said, like, if the king builds a palace, does it not, increase the property value of all surrounding neighborhoods? Does it not bring in more jobs? Does it not put money to the bricklayer, the this, to that person? Like, everybody from this one act of high vibeness, so to speak, everyone benefits. Like what's the phrase? The tide raises all.
Yeah. But not only that though, bro, like, to your point, the king is not going to build he's not going to not build the best palace because of the surrounding environment. He's not going to do it.
Right.
It's like,
he's like, no, I'm gonna make the environment. Yeah.
And, go ahead.
But I want to give this story that I've told before. So for y'all that don't know, Troy and I, we don't drink. There's nothing wrong with drinking. We just don't drink. But there was a time where we would go out and have fun and drink and stuff. And I'll never forget, like Troy, you are forever my example of definiteness of purpose and like not letting anything mess with you. So we were in a place where it did have a propensity for racism. It is what it is. And we were out having fun drinking. And back then, baggy clothes was in. And they told Troy that he couldn't get into this one place because I guess his shirt wasn't tucked in and his clothes was too baggy. And so he came out and he tucked this shirt in. I've never seen a shirt tucked so tight in my life. And so this other black dude came up like, man, that's messed up, man. They doing all this and I'm witnessing this. But Troy was like, man, I don't care. I'm getting in there. I'm going in there. Like, and they're not gonna say nothing. And it was funny because the dude thought he had an ally in fighting the power, but Troy's like, man, I'm having a good time. This is the environment I'm in, and we got in. And I'm grateful of that because like nothing was stopping his intent. Like he was like, this is what I came out to have a good time. I didn't come out here to fight anything or whatever. And like that will forever be etched in my mind whenever I'm wavering about something.
Please don't kill my vibe. Like, I wouldn't let nobody take my vibe away, fam. I was in the zone because I don't even remember the zone, but I know. But again, that goes to my point of somebody shooting. They always say, I don't know where I was at while I was doing it. And if you really know, I don't know where I was at because I just knew that no matter what, my vibe is my vibe. And if everybody that's vibing with me, we're going to vibe together. Let's go. But I want to read what Adina said. And I'm sorry. I apologize, Andona. We are multidimensional beings with multifaceted aspects Life is mirror to the self, reflecting us at every level of being. The contrast or those things we don't like that enter our experience present opportunity to become aware of the breadth and depth of us. Nothing enters our experience that isn't on some level reflected within us. Simply put, shows us where our work lies, what limited belief we hold, areas where we need to come into more true understanding of us. And I want to touch on it because I even said as much when I said work, but I also want to change that phraseology when I say where the work lies. It's what we want. It's what we want. Like when we jump a hurdle, we always yell it to the mountains. Man, I ran over all those hurdles. And something in us always wants to celebrate those challenges. And so if you know that a part of our being is wanting to celebrate challenges, I don't look at it as work anymore. I look at it as a feat that I put in front of myself so that way I can teach somebody that it can be done. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and what I love about what Dona was saying was, so like I remember I gave the example where somebody might say something foul to me, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, if I take offense to it on some level, and similar to what you were just saying, Troy, like I'm so grateful for it because it's like, dang, why am I taking offense to this? This means I either believe it on some level or like I think it's true, and they recognize it. Like I hid this away, but they still recognize this of me. And so it's like, dang, I didn't know I had that in me that I needed to work on. So it's like those challenges or conflicting moments, those non-like-mindedness is actually a joy in a sense. It's actually a stepping stone, a helper to show you exactly where you are, who you are, or who you think you are, and as opposed to who you thought you were.
Bro, and look, it's a thing now. You know, you can look on social media and find it yourself. But you know, overcoming the Karen or overcoming the Shaniqua. I'm gonna say both of them. Like people pride themselves on not getting mad now. Think about that. Like, I want to show you somebody that's upset, and I want to show you how I handle this professionally, right?
Yeah.
It's really a thing. And again, that just goes to show you that like we love to overcome. We love to go against the norm. Like again, for me, I didn't when we were in Minnesota and I did that, something in my mind had to be like, I know they said I can't get in, but I'm getting in. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what rules, it don't matter if I'm black, you know, none of that even matters no more. The only thing that matters is you can't kill my vibe right now. And now there's a story for it. You know, if there was video for that, there would be a great video to share. But these things that we put in front of us, even me talking about my kids this morning, like if I'm able to come up with a solution that I actually can see the result later, I'm gonna be like, man, I remember when, because I can't wait to talk about it. And that's how we're built up. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and those it is a video of it in my mind. Like it's because but that's the cool thing about memories. Like, yes, we should stay in the present, but if you're gonna revisit the past, make sure it serves you in some way now. Like you can your highlight reel of people that stepped into certain situations and overcame or embodied what you want to embody. Like use that to your advantage. Like replay that reel or replay when you did it. Like man, I remember when I wasn't feeling confident, and then I stepped into confidence, and everything worked out. Like step into that, use that to your advantage, and like you said, like nothing can destroy your vibe.
So I'll say this then. So you know, maintaining your vibration in challenging environments, right? And I think that you're saying the same thing that I'm saying, but I'm asking people to recognize that there's no challenging environment. when you are 100% vibing. Because, man, all the experiences that I've been able to, I guess, have in my life that I'm recognizing in the moment that we're having a conversation, in the moments where I was really vibing, where I was 100% in, all on me, I was also 100% in control. And again, I know we don't want to use the word control, but I'm going to say it because I don't know another way to explain it. But I was also 100% in control of the environment around me, like in control of the circumstances and control of the outcome. Because again, the guy that you use in the example when you're talking about me, I don't know if he got in the club or not. I assume that he didn't. I assume that he ended up being outside mad while we were in. And not only that, I'm pretty sure that when we got into the club, my shirt wasn't tucked in the exact same way that it was tucked when we walked in. And so when I'm in, and part of the reason why I kind of know that is because I know the end of the story, I had my shirt off. I know that for a fact. But nonetheless, I facilitated my environment. And I know in the past, I would have been upset about a bunch of different things in that situation. I probably would have been just like that guy who was like, man, this messed up. But the reality of it was I just took control of it all and didn't allow my emotions to dictate my vibe. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is true. Like, this is our world. Like from our own perspective, this is our world, and we are the creators or the co-creators of it. Like, the way I see it is just me and God. Like, if it's not me, then it's God. Like if so, this is God presenting this situation to me so that there's something that I have to learn or something to enjoy. There's some nugget of wisdom or just awesomeness in this moment. So kind of having that as my base point, which you can have anything as your base point, that you want. That's just mine for me. It makes it more fun to handle tough situations and see that there are no tough situations. Like, this is just, it's just another viewpoint to then go and do things. Like, even when we do reflect on like some of the hardest times we had or the hardest things we ever done, is met with joy because we never been in that situation before, and we never knew that we were capable of such things. And had that situation not been presented, had that environment not had those elements in it, we never would have saw who we really were, which is what Andona was saying as well.
Yeah. And again, I'll come back to harp on, and again, I guess I can't speak for everybody. I'm just going to tell you how I feel. Like, I'm always ready to tell somebody the success story. I'm always ready to tell somebody how it can be done. And most people that I'm around, like even when we were growing and we were doing music, I remember when we had all the artists would live in a world where they be like, man, when we make it this, you know what I'm saying? Even I was there, when I make it this. Whenever in real estate now, I'm a real estate broker. I haven't always been a real estate broker. But since I've been a real estate broker, there has been a learning curve for me the entire time. But my mind is never caught up. My vibration is saying you have a story to tell. And so no matter how difficult the environment is, no matter how challenging the environment is, the vibe that I stay on is I can't wait to tell people how I got through this challenging environment. And so when I think about that, it's like the reason why I'm able to keep going is because my vibe don't change. It's going to stay the same. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that too up about the when we make it. I was in that state of mind for a long time, and I repeated it. And the reason I bring that up is because that wasn't the mind frame that I wanted to be in. Like, when we make it is saying like later on, when things get good later on, then I'm gonna be all right. And it's like, no, I'm all right now. Like, I'm living how I want to live now. And it really everybody is, but we're not always honest with ourselves about it. We blame it on something. We say, well, I can't do this because I can't do that. No, you're living exactly how you want to live. And I know we talked about that in an early episode where our barometer or meter of what we accept, if it's not that, we're going to do what we need to do to get back to that. And so if we want to change our circumstances, we have to change where that barometer is set.
Yeah, man. Stop going for 100 degrees when you want 150 degrees. I feel it 100%.
Yeah.
So I guess we need to, I guess, kind of walk this through real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, for me, I think that the first thing, and this is always my first thing in all things perfect mode. And again, I want to, I guess I'll say this first. You are perfect. The only reason you don't realize it is because you're looking at somebody else. You know, you're not vibing on you right now. You got to vibe on you. You're looking at somebody else and saying, I'm not them. Or you're looking at their environment and you're allowing their environment to dictate yours. So I'm going to come back and say for myself, even this morning, when my kids were being, in my own mind, crazy, right? And I say this specifically, in my own mind, they were being crazy. In my mind, in their mind, they weren't being crazy. So this has nothing to do about their vibration. This is only my own. And I'm pointing it out purposely because I want everybody to understand, in my own mind, my kids were being crazy. The first thing that I did before I reacted was breathe and recognize why I was feeling the way that I feel. Why am I looking at this person next to me and saying I'm not perfect? Why am I looking at these people and saying my environment is not what I want it to be? Am I happy right now? Okay, cool. You know, you have to look at yourself first. You have to analyze where you are, and if you're not vibing, what is the vibe? Go ahead, Jay.
Man, to what you were saying, like I've noticed that every time since I've had this new awareness that someone annoys me is because I'm already mad at something with myself. It's the only reason. And like you said, it's never about them, never, ever about them. And so like now that I recognize this, I can address it. Like, why am I not happy with me right now? Like, why am I just, and it's usually because I'm not choosing to be happy. I'm choosing something else. I'm letting a circumstance or an environment dictate me instead of me dictating my environment. Like I like to point out the sun that gives us all the warmth in the world. Like it's home no matter where it is in space. It's the planets that need the sun, but the sun doesn't necessarily need the planets. But the sun is happy to give to the planets. But he said, like, this is my environment. Wherever I am, come with me and you'll be home. And that's kind of how we should be. Like wherever you are, you should be home. And if we can remember that, like it makes like challenges. What challenges? There are no challenges. It's just me saying I'm home and I'm at peace with where I am.
So again, that was number 2. So again, I told you I'm going to stop and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to look at me. Why is it crazy? But again, that part 2 for you is the awareness. Like being aware is everything. Recognizing is everything. Like listen, there was no way I went in to ask my son, why are you crying right now? And he told me he don't know. And it's no way that I can find that out. It's impossible for me to find that out without him telling me. And again, that goes back to me saying, okay, cool. What can I do for my vibe to uplift everybody, to change the dynamic? Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, it's like asking, where are you right now? Like so when you are aware, you realize where you actually are. It's because usually we're living in a world where I don't know where we imagined all these things and all these people and circumstances against us, where we've probably affirmed that, man, I'm not as lucky as this person or that. Like all of that is a state of creation. And is that really what you want to create in your environment? But when you become aware of such things, you can realize, oh, that's where I am. I'm here creating what I don't want, acting like I do. I'm making it cool. I'm telling this to anyone who would listen. And when you become aware of that, you can go to where you really want to be.
Bro, so this is gonna be a little slant real quick. I gotta throw this in there. And again, it's not really a slant because we're talking about awareness here, right? We're talking about being present and understanding you and understanding your vibe. But this is just something that I challenge people to look at in themselves or see if it's something that's ever happened to you. And this can be in many situations. There have been times, bro, when I'm driving down the street and somebody does something crazy in the car, right? And I might swerve or I might hit my brakes or whatever the case be. And I'm immediately upset because in my mind, again, I'm only pointing to me. In my mind, I'm mad because they made what I deemed an error. Me not taking into consideration of if it was something that ran across the street. I don't know. It could be a million different situations that potentially could have happened, right? All in this same instant, while I'm upset, I've imagined me running into them or running off the road. Like I've imagined all of this stuff, which in turn is infuriating me even more, right? Or I can give you other situations where there was a disagreement between people, and the disagreement they dissipated. Everybody moved about their own way, right? But then in me internalizing what happened, I imagined a different outcome, like me getting into a fight or the argument going a lot deeper than it actually went. And now I'm going to bring it to today and me seeing my kids or hearing my kids do what they were doing this morning. And I hear what's going on, but I also internalizing, imagining a bunch of different other stuff, like how this could escalate into something. And I'm talking about vivid imagination where I can see these things happening. And again, I'm just showing you the power that we have, number one, but the lack of awareness that we truly possess, that we can control. If we talk about controlling, bringing yourself back home and making yourself aware that nothing is real. And I think that's where we get lost. And that's why I think that awareness and you trying to maintain your vibration split ways. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and what you described is I still do that from time to time, but it's a lot less now. So, for example, you were in a situation, and then you imagine you bring up the situation or similar, like, oh, I should have said this. I'm gonna say this next time. So what you're doing, you're priming yourself. You're preparing for more conflict. But again, I said I don't want conflict. Why am I preparing for more conflict? Why am I picturing me be the hero of this conflict resolution in a way that demeans someone else? Why I look like I'm the victor? And what I like to do in those situations when I become aware of it again is then create another scenario where I spend more time in the positive of that. Because, sometimes we can get down on ourselves like, I did it again. I can't believe I did it, and name call ourselves something that, again, we're not. And instead of doing that, just spend more time on what you want. Like it's that simple. Add more of what you want and don't harp on what you didn't want.
And so, and I 100% agree, right? And that's where I would, the reason why I tell people to challenge themselves to that, because number one, when it's going on, I always make myself aware. That's the reason why I'm able to stop. That's number one. But when we talk about maintaining your vibration in a challenging environment, the thing that's making it challenging is because you're vibing, there's something going on, and you're imagining alternate realities that are not real. You're looking at something that's not real, because what you're saying right now is, I don't like this. If I address this, this is what's going to happen. But you don't have to even worry about addressing something when you can just stay in your own vibe. And like you said, you just have to be. That's at that point, and I'm not saying block anybody out. Going back to my analogy when I was talking about basketball, when Michael Jordan goes crazy on the court, or LeBron, let me bring LeBron in. Shouts out to my brother, LeBron. When LeBron James goes crazy on the court, everybody on the court starts to pass him the ball. He doesn't have to look for the ball anymore. All he has to do is stay in his zone. Like they're looking for him to have the ball. Not only that, the people that were not vibing with him, the pieces of the puzzle that they carry, they just start to be placed. It all works out. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I love that. I love that example, because that's the truth. When you're in the zone, everybody feeds you in a sense. They're like, man, they're in the zone. Let's help them stay in the zone. Let's see what they would do with this. Let's ask them about this. And yeah, we should do what we need to do to stay in our zone. Don't worry about nobody else's zone. Be in your own zone. Like with the example you gave, if two players are in the zone on the same team, that's almost like a guaranteed win. But how often are many people in the zone together? And let's change that. Let's all be in the zone together.
Bro, you know what it makes me think of? Shouts out. We're gonna give an anime shout out. I think you watched Karuko Plays Basketball. And the reason why I point, you didn't watch it, that's cool. But on that one, there was times where two people got in the zone. And so just kind of give you a little brief synopsis of it real quick. This team that nobody could ever beat. But the thing is, they're all egotistical and they all feel like they're the best player in the world. So they never want to pass the ball. But what happens is when somebody gets in the zone, even those people that never want to pass, all they do is pass the ball to the person that's in the zone. And again, when I think about this topic and me trying to control the environment, I know for a fact, just by experience, the times when I stopped worrying about everybody around me and I just did what I did, it's like the world just came to me. And I know it's not an easy place to be because we're so emotionally tied to every sound. Me using my kids as an example. Why would I be shook by kids having an argument? Right? But the reality of it is we're so emotionally tied to so many things. The environment is a challenging environment just because we don't want to stay in our own zone. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. And I want to say this because we're getting low on time. If anyone has any last nuggets of wisdom to share on this topic, feel free to drop it in the comments. And what I want to say too is, yeah, like when you talked about blocking people from, just people that aren't like-minded, you're actually fencing yourself in. Like you are staying in this little bubble where it's no wonder you can't be happy, because it's like your circle or square is just so small that only these circumstances will make you happy. And I like to think of it of like, being defensive or taking something as offensive. Like you're building fences around yourself, cutting yourself off from all of this beautiful wonderfulness of life every time you try to attempt to cut something off or someone out of your life, instead of just being around it. Like you can literally be around every element and be unaffected. Even the people you deemed as the worst of the worst, you can be around them and be unaffected, and in fact influence them to step into their own higher vibration.
Yeah, and I'll say this, man. Something that you and I tout all the time is the hybrid. And what that is I always tell Clay that, I am who I am because of him. I'm a hybrid of him. And that's the same thing that I have with my wife, same thing I have with my kids. But that's only because I've been willing to allow them to vibrate in the way that they vibrate. And because of that, I've learned so much. And again, it was never anybody telling me, Troy, you need to do this way. I was able to say, you know what? That's something that I like. That's something that I like. And if I had shut them down from being who they are, then I wouldn't have never been able to gain the things that I have today, because I would have literally shut that off. And I want to read this. That's an ego trip. Ego likes to maintain its zone of comfort.
Yeah.
But I'll tell everybody, man, we love y'all. We're grateful for y'all being here. Without y'all, we wouldn't be here, but we definitely be doing something. But definitely every little bit that y'all give us makes us better. And we are a hybrid of y'all. So when you give us that vibration that you have, whether it looks good to me or not, you make me better. And Jay, you can go ahead and take us out, man.
Yeah, appreciate y'all rocking with us again on this beautiful Sunday. And yeah, if you found this helpful at all, hit that share button, like, subscribe, all of that. Join us for the fast tomorrow, 24 hours from when you last ate. Kind of recharge, get that reset in, and click that link too, so you can so you can be part of the fasting community that we created, the Perfect Mode Fasting Community. And last but definitely not least, remember that you are a perfect creator, your perfect creation made by a perfect creator. So you might as well accept your perfection and enter perfect mode. If I reminded you that you are perfect, would you argue me down or step into your perfection? Welcome to Perfect Mode, where there are no excuses, no expectations, and we explore the world without limitations. I'm JClay, rapper, the spiritual teacher, with my co-host Troy Washington, your friendly neighborhood realtor. Let's be real, so let's be perfect.
Perfect.